Thunder Hawk, known as T.Hawk, first appeared in Super Street Fighter 2 in 1993, standing at nearly 7 feet tall and built like a mountain. T.Hawk was unlike anything Street Fighter had seen before. He was a member of the Thunderfoot tribe, a Native American people who had lived peacefully on their ancestral land in Mexico for generations, or Mexico. But peace didn't last, unfortunately, and Bison and his criminal organization, Shadowloo, came and took everything. They seized the Thunderfoot tribe's land, they experimented on his people, and they destroyed his community. Does this sound like something? Does this sound like Street Fighter telling you a story of what happened with Christopher Columbus? Apparently discovering something that's already there and wiping out the native Indians? It's crazy how Capcom are telling this story of T-Hawk in Street Fighter, and as a kid, I just didn't understand it. Julia, the woman he loved, taken by the Shadowloo and used in Bison's twisted experiments, eventually becoming the tragic character that we know as Junie. T-Hawk entered Super Street Fighter Tournament for one reason: to get his land back, to find Julia, and to restore what was stolen from his people. This is not just a fighting game character backstory. This is real life. This is history. This story is about colonization, loss, love, and the fight for justice. T-Hawk deserved to be one of Street Fighter's greatest icons. Now here's something that stopped me in my tracks when I was putting this video together. The last video we talked about was Michelle Chang from Tekken. She was also a Native American warrior whose story was connected to a character named Julia, her adopted daughter, Julia Chang. And now here we are talking about T-Hawk, another Native American warrior in Street Fighter whose story is connected to a character named Julia as well. He's lost love, Julia, who became Junie. Two Native American warriors, two fighting game franchises, two characters named Julia connected to their stories. Coincidence? I don't know, guys. I don't believe in coincidences, but what it tells us is something a little bit more deeper. These characters like Michelle and T-Hawk, they share something beyond their heritage. And as a child, I never understood this because in school, especially in Britain, the history we taught is all a lie. It's all brainwashing. We're not told about the Native American genocide. They share a story of fighting, real fighting, for something greater than themselves, carrying the pain of their people on their shoulders and stepping into battle anyway. They are two of the most emotionally rich characters in the fighting game history. And doing my deep dive, I'm learning so much by just going back and looking at the disenfranchised. And look at how these games have both forgotten these iconic characters. Now let's talk about T-Hawk's fighting style and how he actually played. T-Hawk's fighting style was based on the Thunderfoot fighting style, a powerful grappling based system rooted in his tribal traditions. So he was a grappler, and not just any grappler, one of the most powerful grapplers in Street Fighter history. His Tomahawk Buster, a rising uppercut that launched opponents in the air. His Mexican Typhoon, a spinning grab that sent opponents flying across the screen. His Condor Dive, leaping from the air with devastating force. Every single move felt like it carried the weight of his people behind it, now looking back at it anyway. Playing T-Hawk was about patience and timing. He was additionally a bit like Zangief. You had to get in close. He was a big character like Jack. You had to read your opponent. And when the moment came, you made them feel every single one of those 7 feet. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't about combos or tricks. T-Hawk was about raw power with purpose. And in the right hands, he was devastating. Now I want to talk about how Street Fighter treated him, because how did Street Fighter treat one of the most emotionally powerful characters and he hasn't come back? You're wiping out his history, because the first time we saw T-Hawk was in 1993 in Super Street Fighter. You had Fei Long and you had others, right? DJ and so forth. So he was part of the new challengers. 4 brand new characters to the legendary Street Fighter 2 roster. So then they put him back in Street Fighter Alpha 3. He came back in Street Fighter 4 and then gone. Street Fighter 5, not in one base roster. Added much later as DLC, even then it felt like an afterthought. Street Fighter 6, completely absent. No story continuation, no resolution to his journey, no closure for Julia, no reclaiming of his homeland, just pure and utter silence. While characters like Guile, who I actually love, Zangief, Chun-Li, have appeared in almost every single Street Fighter game, and T-Hawk has been quietly pushed to the margins. Now, I don't know if people at the top are making these calls, but a character with one of the most richest backstories, whose backstory matters, guys, in this entire franchise, a character representing a community that is rarely seen in the mainstream gaming, a character with a fighting style that is completely unique, completely obliterated from the Street Fighter franchise. I want to talk about why representation matters. I don't like playing the victim, but when you think of America, you don't think of Native Americans no more. And that is true Americans. And here's why this is beyond just fighting games. Native American representation in gaming is so rare, guys. You get it in Killer Instinct with Thunder. You don't get it in Tekken. Tekken, there's not even a brown man in Tekken. And I don't want someone to say, yeah, Arabs are brown. No. The champion of Tekken is a Pakistani. I speak to my best friend all the time, Adrian. I tell him, Adrian, I don't feel like Tekken represents me. Like, I just don't feel it at all. I don't know how these people must feel. T.Hawk was one of the first Native American characters in a mainstream fighting game. And Capcom had a responsibility. They had a huge opportunity. And to do representation justice. At his best, T-Hawk showed a warrior who fought not for ego, not for power, but for his people, for spirituality, for his land, for love. And when you watch films like Spirit, you see how beautiful Native Indian people were. You see how in the cowboy films they were portrayed as savages. But when really and truly it was the other way around. Spirit is such a beautiful film. We're in 2026 now, guys, and representation in gaming is so important, man. People want to feel included. People want to feel inclusive. Bringing T-Hawk back and telling his story properly would mean something far beyond the FGC. It would mean something to people who have never picked up Street Fighter controller in their lives. Capcom have a chance to do something special here and bring back T-Hawk. The question is whether they have the courage to do it. Now, what could a modern T-Hawk look like in Street Fighter 6? That engine, those graphics, that level of character, detail and animation. A modern T-Hawk with his tribal markings rendered in stunning PS5 graphics. It would be beautiful. His movement being rebuilt from ground up. Powerful, grounded, inevitable. His story continued. Has he found Julia? Has he reclaimed his land? We know that's not going to happen. But is there something that it can do with his storyline? Is he still fighting? How would he play in the drive system in Street Fighter 6? That would give T-Hawk a brand new dimension. I don't like the new characters they released because I can't relate to them. It doesn't feel real. So imagine his grapple powered up through drive gauge. Imagine a drive rush into a Mexican typhoon. The possibilities are incredible. And his design could be involved while staying true to who he is. A warrior, an elder, a battle-worn king, carrying decades of pain. This character in Street Fighter 6 would be iconic. T-Hawk came into Street Fighter with everything. A powerful story, a unique fighting style, a community behind him, a love worth fighting for. I remember playing with T-Hawk in the arcades. It was beautiful. And somewhere along the line, that franchise left him behind. I love Capcom. I love the games they produce. But people at the top, I feel like it's all about money now. You could turn around and say, oh, Oz, maybe he didn't sell as much. At Aussie XP, at Lions Den, we give flowers to the ones who mean the most. That's just how I do, man. Michelle Chang, T-Hawk, two Native American warriors, two fighting game legends, both deserving so much more than what they got. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you miss Michelle Chang too, I'll link her video. Watch it and tell me if the connection doesn't blow your mind. Welcome to the Forgotten Warriors. We're just getting started. If you like the video, give it a like and hit the subscribe button, guys. I'm truly enjoying bringing these disenfranchised characters to